Human rights groups are demanding the immediate release of Uganda's opposition leader Kizza Besigye, lawyer Kizza, and others who are in military detention. 12 human rights organizations, including Amnesty International, say they will mobilize the public to march to the Uganda High Commission in Nairobi on February 21st to submit a petition for justice. NTV's Laban Shaban with more.
Human rights activists, lawyers and medical practitioners in East Africa are mounting pressure on Ugandan government to release opposition leader Kizza Besigye, who has spent the past 3 months in military detention. Besigye, abducted during a trip to Kenya in November last year, was rushed to the hospital after launching a hunger strike in protest of his unlawful imprisonment. The lobbyists have called out what they term as militarization of justice and escalating government repression in Uganda.
We call on the Ugandan authorities to immediately release Kizza Besigye, Haj Obeid Lutale, Kizza, and others who are unlawfully detained. The abduction and rendition of Kizza Besigye and Haj Obeid Lutale blatantly violates international human rights law and the principles of extradition treaties.
Kizza Besigye, a 3-time former presidential candidate against Uganda's Yoweri Museveni, was abducted by unknown men during a visit to Kenya in November 2024 and transferred to Luzira Maximum Security Prison in Kampala. He is facing charges of treason, illegal possession of firearm, and threatening national security.
The Kenyan authorities should end the abductions and detentions in Kenya and commit to take effective measures to guarantee non-repetition of these offenses.
Last week, Besigye was taken to a hospital after going on a hunger strike to protest his arrest and the charges.
The Ugandan authority to take immediate action to prevent any grave harm to or loss of life to Kizza Besigye, Haj Obeid Lutale, lawyer Kizza, and all other persons who have been detained.
On January 31st, the Ugandan Supreme Court ruled that the trial of civilians in a military court is unconstitutional and that such cases must be transferred to ordinary courts. But the government rejected the ruling, saying that such trials protect the country from criminals. In a statement posted on X, Museveni called on those demanding for the release of Besigye to instead demand a quick trial to establish the facts. Otherwise, he said, such demands promote insecurity, which is dangerous for the country. This comes after Muhoozi Kainerugaba, son to Uganda's president and the chief of the defense forces, placed an online public opinion poll for citizens to give views on whether opposition leader Kizza Besigye should be forgiven.
It's our call that the Ugandan authority to promptly, thoroughly, impartially, independently, transparently, and effectively investigate death threats against Kizza Besigye by President Yoweri Museveni's son, that is Muhoozi Kainerugaba.
The rights group say they will circulate petitions and reach out to other nations and organizations to demand the release of unlawfully detained Ugandans. The 12 organizations that took part in Tuesday's demonstrations have called out for the public to join a march on Friday to the Ugandan embassy in Nairobi and the parliament buildings to present a petition for justice and the release of Besigye and those detained alongside him. Laban Shaban, NTV.